Okay, this is Cornell Notes, lesson 2.1, adding and subtracting fractions out of our course 3 book, and you will find these examples in this lesson actually on page 17 of your book. So as we go through the Cornell Notes, just know that these notes are go right along with your course 3 textbook. All right, so our learning target, we are going to simplify expressions involving fractions by adding and subtracting. So notice that we're using math terminology. Remember, expressions, there's no equal sign. So we're simplifying expressions involving fractions with addition and subtraction. Okay, you learned how to add and subtract fractions last year in 6th grade, but we're just going to do a little bit of a review. So what I'd like you to do is go ahead and set up your Cornell Notes, draw your line vertically on the left side of your paper, and then on the left side you'll write steps, and then go ahead and write the 4 steps for adding and subtracting fractions. So what you guys must remember, you must have a common denominator. All right, so that's the first step. Second step, you're going to add and subtract your numerators. Third step, you'll keep your denominator. And then last, if you need to, you will simplify. Okay, so these are the basic 4 steps for adding and subtracting fractions. Now sometimes the fractions, the problems get a little more complex, and that's actually what we're going to look at today. Okay, so we're going to work 2 example problems out of your textbook. Okay, so the first problem that we're working is on page 21, and it's number 15. So when I write this problem, I'm actually going to write it vertically. This is what you guys did last year in 6th grade. So I have 4 1/4 plus 2 1/2. Okay, I would like everyone to pause the video, and why don't you try to do this one on your own, and then we'll compare. Okay, so hopefully you have some work shown, so compare your work with mine. So our first step, we need a common denominator. Since 4 and 2 can both go into 4, I'm going to go ahead and just use 4. I multiplied 2 times 2 to get 4, so I need to multiply my numerator by 2 to get 2. My second step, I'm going to add and subtract my numerators. So I'm going to do 1 plus the 2, and that will give me 3. I'm going to keep my denominator of 4. Okay, but can I stop there? No, because we cannot forget to add our whole numbers. And 4 plus 2 gives us 6. So you should have gotten 6 3/4. If that's what you got on your own, put a check. Okay, if not, go ahead and write my example next to your work and circle it and try to find where you made your mistake and just take note of that. Okay, so let's try a subtraction problem. This is page 21 in your book, number 16. And our problem is going to be 6 3/5 minus 2 2/3. So again, like last time, go ahead and pause, get some work done, and then you can compare. All right, first step here, we need to find a common denominator. I'm going to use 15. Notice my work's going to be as neat as I can make it. Okay, 5 times 3 gives me 15. 3 times 3 gives me 9. 3 times 5 gave me 15, so I'm going to do 2 times 5 to get 10. Now, the next step is add and subtract my numerators. So I have 9 minus 10. But I can't do that unless we're getting into negatives, but then we have the whole number, so it gets a little tricky. So we are going to borrow from our 6 wholes. And this is going to become 5 wholes. That whole from the 6 is actually your 15 fifteenths. So what we're actually doing is adding 15 fifteenths plus 9 fifteenths, and we get 24 fifteenths. Makes sense? So you're adding the 1 from this 6 that we turned it into 5. That 1 whole is 15 over 15. We're adding that to our 9 fifteenths so that we get a larger numerator. Now we can subtract 24 minus 10 to get 14. We keep our denominator of 15. And then last, we've got to still subtract out our whole numbers. So 5 minus 2 gives us 3. So 3 4 fifteenths. Okay, so you just have to borrow from that whole number on that one. Awesome. Okay, the last step we're going to do on these Cornell notes is you are going to write a 2 to 3 sentence summary or overview of what this lesson, what we covered in this lesson. Okay? And again, our learning target was simplifying expressions involving fractions by addition and subtraction.